turn this trailer into a tiny house. Before it goes up, must come down.
Pull your cart, little boy.
This is a lot of work, but we'll get there.
There's still more water coming out of that thing.
Anyone else gonna go to the bathroom?
You can't afford a nice door.
Oh yeah?
Cheap ass.
Oh, that's it? Really? That's how we're gonna go with that? By the way, we were gone. When we were gone, I made this. That's my face. Like I put my face on it and I drew a. This is my eyes.
Blah, blah, blah.
That's my nose. This is my nose and that's my chin.
I want to know why you're doing that. Can you explain?
I'm very tired.
Oh, well, I've survived so far. 2 months and a week of almost 24/7 with this guy.
Don't do it! Don't do it! Don't do it! Don't even think about it! Don't even dream
The walls
about
or the project?
No, but the project. The moment you think about doing a tiny home,
Go buy one.
check yourself into a mental institution. Hello everyone and welcome to TinyWanderland Chronicles Part 25. I'm your host Jay. Boy, we are making some headway. This might be a long one. I'm looking at this about 139 slides, but we're going to jump right into it. Not going to waste a lot of time. I was playing Jenga in the last episode. Now I just have a pile of blocks on the table. Seems like the most I can make is 30 stories, but all right, well, looks like there's a view of the Tiny Wander, and as you can see, the trailer is becoming something totally different in this picture. We got the floor down, the plumbing in, the furring strips in, and I think we're getting ready to start on the electrical in this episode. Don't quote me on that, but yep, that's exactly what's happening. We're starting the electrical, and here's a funny thing to tell you. Heather was asking me if pulling electrical is a tough job, and that is just an understatement of the century because Romex does not like to play fair. Once you pull like maybe 6 inches of that, it's like pulling the Titanic off the bottom of the seafloor. Romex is just not flexible. As you can see, our gas racks are back. Robert mounted them, welded them on. And then this is the front. You can see the solar batteries and the propane rack. My guess, trying to remember, guys, it's been so long. Yeah, you know what this is? This is, I was getting ready to do painting, paint all of Robert's steel. So, let me move my microphone away. It's a little popping, it's popping there. Okay, there's the generator rack. There's a view of the tire rack. The windows are installed. More views inside and out. Well, there's a good deal of electrical going in. Good deal more of electrical going in, as you can see. And as you remember, in the last episode, we met up with Drew Blad Solar, who started the initial process of getting us ready for solar. And I don't know if we're going to visit him again in this episode, but I will let you know if we do. More electrical going in, some outside outlets hooked up. If you watch the Tiny Wanderland, that's like the main channel. There's an episode of actually where we disconnect one of these electrical outlets and hook up a actual RV outlet. But that didn't happen until a year after all this. Me chilling with the insulation, some Cat 5 wiring. There's those fans I told you about in the previous episode being boxed up on their furring. More work. There's Heather working. Everyone says, oh, Heather is, no, not just a pretty face. She was long for the ride. There's our electrical layout. Gus hiding out in one of the venting fans. More electrical going in, more electrical going in. Don't quit, guys. That's all I could say. We're in episode 25, and don't quit is an understatement. There you can see one of the fans and the piping going in. Me probably just contemplating the absolute craziness. This is an interesting picture, and I'm going to stop on this for a second because I wanted you guys to, back in Prescott Valley, Arizona, when we were at U Pickett and then we ran into Shanti's RV, we tore out a lot of stuff that we thought we would need, and a majority of the stuff we bought is sitting right here and went to a landfill. We just didn't use it. It just was too old. There's Heather goofing off with probably a midnight shot before we left the storage unit. More electrical, as you can see, it's kind of coming to life. Who knows what I was doing here. Another one of Heather's awesome runs where she went and got spray paint. And as you can see, there was a few to choose from. Cleaned up. I think we had finished running the electrical and we were cleaning everything up. The windows are in. The outlets are in. I will tell you this. We did decide to go the on-wall outlets. They were a little more expensive, but the problem people don't realize when you buy a trailer that you're going to convert into a tiny home is that you get 1 inch between the aluminum skin and whatever wall you're going to place in, unless you create like an additional, like an inside box wall, which would take out like 2 inches more space. And when space is at a premium, you don't do that. So standard wall outlets and standard wall boxes don't fit in tiny homes, so you have to kind of get inventive, and we did, believe me. More shots of electrical / plumbing. There's a Ryobi radio. I just can't get over how yellow and green that thing is. I still have that thing to this day, and it does not look that bright. This looks like the start of the insulation. Yes, it is. It is the start of the Arctic insulation going in. That was a crazy process. I looked like Snow White. It was a very long process. Anyone who tells you putting insulation in or walls in or anything like that in a tiny home, if you hear anyone tell you making a tiny home is simple or that it's easy, immediately walk away from that person because they don't know what they're talking about. Even if you've done things before like carpentry, plumbing, electrical, insulation, welding, you have to throw the book completely out, guys. You have to, because when you're dealing with a house versus a tiny home, it's a totally different spectrum. Nothing will fit. Nothing will be exact. Nothing will measure perfectly. You'll have to create everything from scratch and custom. There's Heather putting in some insulation. Looks like there's one of the wall units going in. More insulation. Me cutting insulation. We did find out, by the way, that if you use a half moon blade on a multi-tool, we called it the magic saw, it cuts through insulation like butter. Everyone says use a razor blade or use a knife, and it's just like when I was building my daughter's nursery in South Dakota with my ex Kim. They told us to take the sheetrock and to scribe it and snap it with a sheetrock knife. Now you're thinking, oh yeah, that's easy. Well, here's the thing: when you snap it, you sometimes will snap more than the piece you wanted, or you'll tear the backing of the sheetrock. So what we did was we went out, and this was early J thinking, and I pretty much lived my entire life this way. We bought a vinyl siding saw blade on a skill saw. Now we both looked like ghosts when we were done, but you've never seen cleaner sheetrock cuts. And if I was going to cut sheetrock to this day, I would still use that method. But we found the method that worked for us. There's Heather installing some insulation going in, more insulation going around the inside, more insulation. Me goofing off with a tape measure, Heather putting more insulation in. Speaking of cutting things, guys, we had decided to use camp foam for the mattresses that would be the Tiny Wanderer's bed. And I found that this Rambo knife, which now hangs on the wall of the Tiny Wanderer as protection, was very sharp and cut through the camp foam like butter. There's more Heather. Looks like more insulation, more insulation. This is great stuff. I have a can of this stuff upstairs in storage that I haven't even used. It is amazing. It fills pretty much anything you can think of. More insulation going in, more insulation on the ceiling. I just kind of have you guys take a minute to sit and look at this. This took like 3 or 4 days to get to this point. So when people think, when they see these pictures and they think, oh wow, that came right together real fast. There's no such thing as real fast when it comes to the Tiny Wanderer. During the time in the Abbey Inn, the namby-pambies or sheeple or whatever you want to call them, they came and invaded the hotel for one night, guys. One night. We were in a long-term stay with the Abbey Inn, and they came up for a junior league, whatever, baseball tournament, and they pretty much took over every hotel in town except for the crappy one. So Abbey Inn actually kicked us out, nicely kicked us out, and Heather ended up staying one night in the Knights Inn, and I guess these are some pictures of her hotel room. I slept in the Tiny Wanderer because I was working almost 24/7 at this point. And Heather did stay the night in the Knights Inn. Is that what I think it is? That is a wall. Ladies and gentlemen, that is a wall going on the Tiny Wanderer. One wall, 2 walls, half a wall. Look at that. Oh my word, we have walls, ladies and gentlemen. And I had lost a lot of weight. I had muscle like crazy, but I had lost a lot of weight. I was working almost 24-hour days. Heather was down there as much as she could tolerate. I was literally spending the night down there every single night. This is me. I backed the Tiny Wanderer in, and I shut the unit and left the car outside. And this was a note to Heather. I guess I had some surprises for her. I don't remember exactly what it was, but walls are going in, admiring the work. Walls are going in. These shots, I think, were taken during a storm. I can't remember for sure. I think they were taken during a storm. No, these were not. More walls, more walls, more walls. Walls, walls, walls. Heather cutting some walls. Heather putting in some walls. Walls. This was the hot water heater going in. Me goofing off at Home Depot. Again, goofing off at Home Depot. Walls, walls. Okay. Just an FYI, don't use spray foam on a hot water heater. I did not know any better, and this was one of the many mistakes that I did make, and I ended up having to shave all of this off, and it was a complete cluster. Oh, there's a shot of the Predator, a glowing toilet in the dark, me doing some walls, ceiling going in, I think. Yep, ceiling, hanging out on the toilet, putting in the ceiling, some more ceiling, cabinets going in. This did not end up being our final configuration because it was too close to the stove, and we were like 5 inches off the stove, and we needed to be at least 20 inches off the stove. There's the water heater going in. This is the annex to the Smittyville. Remember I told you we had a custom tent on top, second floor. I had the people, Quality Products in Cedar City, Utah, a great group of ladies, build out the annex. Basically, we made the tent taller by putting it on the roof of a trailer versus a car, which meant the annex would no longer reach the ground. So Robert and Quality Products people came together through the welding and ingenuity of that. Here is a very rare shot of Carol from Quality Products. Wonderful lady, became a friend of mine over the time we were there. And she is either figuring out the annex or showing me the annex. I don't remember what she was doing in this picture. I don't know if this is before. This may be the before. This may be her taking the annex for the modifications. We'll see in later episodes if we have pictures of it when it came back. There's me with my awesome sign my friend made. And it says, "Not all who wander are lost," and it is a true story. Shoring up some pipes. Hanging out on top of the Tiny Wanderer. This was the first smokestack. The very first night on BLM land, I ripped this thing off when I hit a tree. So it is not what's up there now, but it is the first of that. And that's all I have for you guys. Feel free to follow us on social media. I'm going to see you in episode 26. Instagram, check us out there. Facebook, you want to like us there as well. And on YouTube, we could appreciate subscribe and a follow if you're interested in more about the craziness. I'll get out of your hair in just about 15 seconds here, and I'll let you listen to the end of this music, and I will see you guys next time on the Tiny Wanderland Chronicles.